It's the season of giving, and we got postseason awards to hand out here on Locked On Sooners.
You are Locked On Sooners, your daily podcast on the Oklahoma Sooners. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, Sooner Nation? Welcome to Locked On Sooners, and thank you for making Locked On Sooners your first listen every single day. Shout out to all the everydayers out there tuning in, subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcast. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day, and now the #1 sports podcast network. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. If you want to be right in the middle of the NFL action this season, visit FanDuel.com and place your NFL live bets all season long. He's Jay Smith of Unfair Sports. I'm John Williams of Sooners Wire. On today's show, we're going to talk about all of the big stuff that happened in the 2025 college football season and hand out some postseason awards from MVP to best performance, game of the year, play of the year. We'll break it all down here, Jay. Where do you think we should start? I kind of want to start with the game of the year because there were a lot of big time games and a lot of big time performances from a lot of players. I want to leave the MVP talk for a minute and start here because it took 10 games for Oklahoma to get to the college football playoff, or 10 wins, I should say. What game did you think was the game of the year for the Oklahoma Sooners?
Honestly, the game of the year probably for me was the Tennessee game. That one felt like, okay, you went on the road, hostile environment, you did everything you needed to do, and it made me say, yep, I think that they are starting to hit the stride they need to. Red November began because of that game, and then from there, you blew up. The R. Mason Thomas touchdown, and then he missed the rest of the game. It's like, I thought that was the craziest part about that. You're in Neyland Stadium, your best pass rusher now isn't playing because he gets hurt after scoring a while scoring a touchdown, that is. And now you have to figure out how to beat a team that's really good offensively, that's known for putting up some numbers, and you go out there and you take over. You go into the half 10-10. And you're outgained by a good 150 yards. Like, it looked like Tennessee was just moving and grooving, but it's tied at the half. It's like, how? How is this score? How is this the score? Like, you start looking at it, trying to debate, like, what's going on? And to me, that had to have been the one to where I was like, yeah, this defense is going to be for real. And we're going to figure out ways to win games that a lot of people are going to say we shouldn't have won.
I agree with you. I think that's the game of the year for the Oklahoma Sooners. You're coming off of the loss to Ole Miss at home in a game that you had opportunities to go win the game, or at least tie the game and send it to overtime, and you couldn't get it done. Everybody's left feeling disappointed. I remember coming on the show after that loss, and you're just like, what do we do? Like, what do? You just can't find enough plays offensively to get things going. And to start the Tennessee game, Tennessee drives right down the field. They score a touchdown. Their next possession, they're driving right down the field again. And it looks like you're about to be down 14-0 on the road. And I know myself watching that, I'm feeling, okay, that's church. Like, this season isn't over, but any thought of a college football playoff berth is pretty much over at this point. And then Owen Heineke just flies around the edge and blasts Joey Aguilar, absolutely crushes him. Ball pops free. R. Mason Thomas, fights off a dude for 20 yards and rumbles for a touchdown. I mean, yes, game of the year. You got big time kicking from Tate Sandell to propel you in that one. You just got enough plays offensively to get into field goal range. I mean, yeah, it was the formula. That game set the formula, but with all of the odds stacked against Oklahoma, they found a way to prevail.
Yeah, it was, in my apology, it was 16-10 at the half, and that's what made it even weirder. It's like, we're winning in this game? Like, in the way that this game is going, we have the lead? No, it was more of the, this was the playoff play-in game, basically, for Oklahoma as well as Tennessee. This was your eliminator. If Oklahoma loses, no way they could possibly get in, even though everybody said that 9 wins could get them in there, but just because of how much of a gauntlet of a schedule they had. But I digress. You go up 16-10 at the half, and it's like, what? Like, when it was tied 10-10, I'm just like, why is it tied 10? They throw an interception. And the best part about that interception was that That was the Peyton Bowen interception, and he made sure he got Tate Sandell into field goal range. Then he kicks another 50-yard. He kicks that 50-yarder, and then Robert Spears-Jennings gets it. He returns it back, gets you another in-range 50-yarder. Those 3 50-yard field goals, adding to the way that Oklahoma just balled out on the road, scoring 33 points. First time scoring 30 points in the SEC game. You're just like, yeah, this team has got something brewing here. And like you said, it's coming off of a loss. And so you were wondering if this team could bounce back, and sure enough, they did. I was probably the most proud of this game than I was of any of the other ones throughout the season.
Yeah, some others in consideration would have been the Alabama win, the Michigan win, beating Auburn, getting that SEC win right out of the gate. Those things would have been certainly in consideration, but that game to get the win over Tennessee to me easily the game of the year for Oklahoma. All right, yep. Offensive MVP, Jay, who you got?
MVP. You know what? Let's hold MVPs to the end. Let's bring out some breakout players and stuff throughout it. I think we could close with MVP on the O and the defensive side of the ball, as well as just an overall one. We can overarch it, but I think what will be better for this one would be play of the year. We've already started game of the year, the play of the season that jumped out. John, give me your play of the year. Do you have one in your mind already?
I'm going to say the Isaiah Satania touchdown to beat LSU.
Ooh, that was a good one.
That was the thing that clinched a college football playoff berth, the first college football playoff berth since 2019. You could have easily gone with a number of plays either on offense or defense, but that one right there where, man, the offense just can't get out of its own way. John Mateer's thrown 3 interceptions in this game. You're playing into the wind. You just don't feel like you're going to be able to maybe get enough movement on the ball down the field to create a big play. And whatever Ben Arbuckle had schemed up completely caught LSU sleeping, and Isaiah Satania just walked in for a touchdown. And John Mateer hit him in stride. So, like, to me, that was
perfect throw.
I think just from a collective sigh of relief from Sooner Nation, to me, that one kind of sets itself apart a little bit more than some of the others.
No, I can totally understand that, because that was probably the one that the collective sigh afterwards was everybody was like, okay, it's over. We should be good, because LSU's not moving the ball on us at all in this game. Until we screw up, LSU literally made no moves in the game. So, yeah, so at that point, you were just like, all right, we should be good. We kick the ball off. We kick it deep enough. LSU ain't going nowhere. And I will 100% agree with that. So we'll modify this. That'll be your offensive one. We'll do a defensive one as well. I'm going to give you my offensive play. As I'm thinking about the way that these games were going and some of the plays that were made, pretty darn good. I'm going to say the Isaiah Satania catch against Auburn on the sideline on that final drive when John Mateer ran it in for the touchdown to take
the completely
lead.
Legal one.
No, not that one. No, that one. That's second quarter. I'm talking about the play on the final drive of OU on offense before, they close it out.
Yeah.
He threw that pass. Satania caught it. Literally, it was a perfect teardrop pass. After the thumb was broken, he catches it. It falls in his lap. He falls out of bounds, and then the defender knocks it out of his hand. And everybody's like, "Oh, well, that's an incomplete pass, man. You gotta finish those catches. You gotta close out on the catch." Then they go back and watch, and they're like, "Oh, wait a minute, he's on the ground, and then he swings it out of his arm." Okay, well, that's definitely that should be on Oklahoma side. So we end up. That play led to Mateer running that ball in for the touchdown. To me, that one, I battled between that one and Deion Burke's one-handed catch against Illinois State to start the season. That really got everybody's attention. Those were a tough battle, but I think I'm going to give it to Satania early in the season against Auburn, and then you start realizing, oh, this kid may be something.
Yeah, you could also go Satania versus Mizzou. You could go Torrey Blaylock against South Carolina. It was like an 18-yard run on like second or first and 20 or whatever.
Or even X-Rob's run against Ole Miss when he broke out and you were like, wait, where does run game come from? And it was good.
Yeah. Or to me, the other one that really stands out is John Mateer's 20-yard run against Alabama. The spin cycle.
The spin cycle.
The pirouette.
Yeah.
That I think that's one of those that we're going to see in highlights for years to come. But
John Mateer doing pirouettes inside of my snow globe. It's
that's
amazing.
right. That's right. We'll do
Shopping,
defensive
so
play of the year coming up. We'll have our MVPs as well later in the show. Breakout players, best transfer, best newcomer, best freshman, all kinds of stuff coming up here on Locked On Sooners.
NFL Sundays move fast. One big play, and suddenly everything feels different. That's what makes live betting with FanDuel so exciting. You're not just watching the game, you're reacting to it in real time. And with FanDuel, you can place as the action unfolds. So your bets go in, the action unfolds, and you can add those additional components to it. So on every drive, every momentum swing, heck, every single highlight moment, just like we're talking about here in the show, all the best stuff that happened to Oklahoma, you can do that also in the NFL. And so when you're looking at the games coming up this weekend, I'm looking at this Ravens versus the Green Bay Packers. We don't know what it looks like with Lamar Jackson, but hey, there's picks in here. You can take some scores. You can pick some of the first quarter score, any score. You also can look at the live spreads and money lines because they adjust instantly as the game progresses. Player props, updates as guys either heat up, get a little cold, maybe get Lamar Jackson on a good number. You can even bet the next touchdown score, drive results, every drive, every snap, every possibility. So if you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com and place your NFL live bets all season long. FanDuel, the game moves fast, and so can you.
Thank you for making Locked On Sooners your first listen of the day. And thank you for making Locked On the #1 sports podcast network. If you haven't already, go check out the new Everydayer Club. You can get access to ad-free audio for Locked On Sooners and many more shows on the Locked On podcast network that's compatible with Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and every other major podcast app, and an invite to the member-only Locked On Everydayer Club Discord server, which includes a group chat just for listeners of this show, for many other shows, again, across the Locked On network. So go to lockedonpodcasts.com/everydayer and find Locked On Sooners and get more information there. Jay, defensive player of the year, who you got?
The defensive player of the year for me has to be the one that I feel like set the tone. Was Kendal Daniels leveling Justin Haynes in the backfield. To me, that made everybody say, ooh, this defense is nasty. And that's what opened everybody's eyes. So, all right, who's this number 5 dude with the dreads and he's just out here running people over and he's a ginormous human being? What is this? Like, who is this dude finding these players and just knocking them out like prey? And that's what it was. It was, Kendal Daniels hitting that guy. I have a few plays that really jumped out, but that one to me feels like it truly set the tone on the season. That was the play that made people say, oh, they're going to come in with a physical brand of football and really cause problems. And so got to give it to KD5 for that hit. There's a few other big hits that we saw this season, but that one woke everybody up, especially because it was on national television.
Yeah, that play. And then after that play, you really didn't want to see, or you didn't see teams try to run a lot of bubble screen on Oklahoma. Michigan tried that, and then they tried it like a couple plays later, and it got blown up again. And they're like, all right, we're done with that. We scrap it. That's not helping anybody. That's not working. We're just getting our guys killed in the screen game. There's no reason to do that. So you saw very little of it the rest of the way. Some teams would use it kind of here and there, and to very little effect. Oklahoma defended that part really, really well, but it's because they set a physical tone there on the edge with KD5, also Reggie Powers III coming up, cracking guys, and Courtland Guillory, Eli Bowen as well. I don't really have much argument there. The only one I'd go back to is the Owen Heineke sack fumble on Joey Aguilar that R. Mason Thomas returned for a touchdown. I think you could also include the Taylor Wein, sack fumble on Ty Simpson that Kendal Daniels recovered. You can include the Eli Bowen pick 6 against Ty Simpson in that game. So just a lot of fantastic plays, but I think you're right. That one just kind of, it created the identity for this team that we're going to come fast. We're going to come physical, and we're going to be unapologetic about it. All right. Where should we go next, Jay? Do you want to go to breakout player?
Yeah. Give us your breakout player.
Taylor Wein. I mean,
nice.
The guy led the league in sack, or led the team in sacks with 7, and lived up to all of the offseason hype. How many times, Jay, do we go through an offseason and we hear buzz about players and we're like, oh yeah, this guy's going to break out. This guy's going to be a star. This guy, and we don't really see it. Like it never really comes to fruition. But R. Mason Thomas, he stood on business at SEC Media Days when he was asked who was going to be the breakout defensive end in the group. He said Taylor Wein. He said he's going to have 5 sacks this year. And lo and behold, Taylor Wein broke out and he had 7 sacks this year.
Ooh. Yeah, that was a good call in my shot type scenario or whatnot. He basically said, "Oh yeah, no, I promise you, the dude that's going to be that dude is going to be Taylor Wein," and he gave it, and that's exactly the one that produced. And so I gotta say, I agree. That's another big one. I'd say breakout for me has to probably be Courtland Guillory.
Mm-hmm.
Walked in, true freshman. You had questions about, all right, playing a freshman. We heard he was a dog. We heard great stories. Like I was talking to one guy that had been over to the combines and stuff for these high school recruits and these camps. And he said that Courtland Guillory, the big thing he always did was he always found the top rated receiver that was out there and said, I want to guard him. And if he wins, he wanted to guard him again. If he loses, he wanted to guard him again. He just kept wanting to guard him regardless. He always was trying to find the best players to kind of iron type scenario. And so it showed on the field. He wasn't perfect. He had moments where he got cooked, and he had moments where he was out there locking people up. You saw him putting the cuffs. You saw him putting them on islands. It was impressive to see a true freshman be able to do something like that. So I think that to me made him jump out as definitely one of the bigger breakout players for the team.
Yeah, and I think we could just go ahead and give him the best freshman award as well.
Yeah, there's an argument there. I agree.
To me, it's either him or it's Michael Fasusi. And to me, I felt like Courtland Guillory played maybe more consistent and elevated his game throughout the season. He just kept getting better and better and better and better. Both have very, very difficult jobs, playing left tackle, playing cornerback, two of the most difficult positions that you could ever try to play in football, and they're doing it as true freshmen. I think both of those guys are incredibly deserving to be considered the best freshman on the team this year. But to me, again, it was Courtland Guillory. I felt like he only had really one game that didn't really go his way, and that was the Auburn game. Everything else, he held his own and more so throughout the year.
Yeah, to me, I was going to give my freshman to Torrey Blaylock. He led the team in rushing yards at 480 this season. He got 4 touchdowns. And when healthy, he was out there balling. It was unfortunate that most of the season was cut short because of dealing with a lot of injuries. But no, Torrey Blaylock was out there cooking as a running back. And so for me, I was going to slide that to him. But those two are also really good options to really to think into is with Courtland Guillory as well as Michael Fasusi, because they jumped into positions that are really tough, positions that kind of put you on an island in a way, and you're battling against some of the best players in those positions, and they both stood up and was ready for it.
I think you could also, talking about breakout star, mention Owen Heineke, a guy that just came out of nowhere and became a starter for this team and was a big-time playmaker and made a big-time impact, and Isaiah Satania. I was talking to a guy that covers Arkansas for the AP, and he was kind of talking about Oklahoma's season and how I'm not sure if I can really bank on that bank on Oklahoma's offense improving when Isaiah Satania is going to be a part of that wide receiver rotation. And lo and behold, Isaiah Satania was a second in the SEC in receiving yards and an all SEC selection. So I think you could very well consider that a breakout star as well. So many guys just really elevated their games this year.
Yeah, they did. Just Satania coming out there, like I said, 965 yards. I mean, Deion Burks kind of, jumped up with their having 620 on the season, which was a little bit of an improvement from his times at Purdue. So you did get some players that actually, gave you some pretty, solid breakout moments or whatnot, and some things you can't really complain. Like you of course you would like more. We all would like more, but no, you got some solid numbers out of these players. Another good breakout option, Jaren Kanak. Dude switch positions. Switch positions, and you're like 533 yards receiving, which you were one of the, I think you were like third in the SEC in receiving yards for a tight end. Can't beat that. Like, whomst amongst us would have thought that Jaren Kanak could have moved from linebacker to tight end and be that impactful that fast? 44 catches, 533 yards.
Well, I remember, and I'll tell on myself here, talking about Jaren Kanak being listed at the top of the tight end depth chart before the season. and remember talking about this in such a way that it's like, oh, they're just throwing the guy a bone because he's been a good soldier for the team and he's just done all the right things. And, he's been very coachable. He's been a, coach's guy, and he's a Brent Venables guy. And so they're going to give him the start because he's just been the good soldier in the program for 4 years. Boy, was I wrong. Big wrong. He was a playmaker. I feel like they could have gotten him the ball more than what they did. And I think they tried to. There were some limitations from the quarterback that didn't allow them to see Jaren Kanak sometimes, but they could have done more to get him the football, and he could have had an even bigger impact this season.
True.
So great choice, or great honorable mention there, Jay, with Jaren Kanak. So, all right, we got some other postseason awards to hand out, including our offensive and defensive MVPs, as well as the best individual performance from a player this year. We'll discuss coming up here on Locked On Sooners. There's nothing like college football season, tailgates, packed stadiums, and being right there in the middle of it all. The energy, the bands, the moments you remember forever, but actually getting tickets, that part used to be frustrating with long queues, logins, and prices jumping at checkout. That's why Game Time gives the advantage back to fans. It's the easiest way to unlock amazing college football tickets and experiences in just a few steps. The app is incredibly easy to use. I went from browsing to buying tickets in just minutes. I loved being able to see my seat view from the app before buying, so I knew exactly what I was getting. And seeing college football tickets starting as low as $25 throughout the season made it easy to plan a game day trip. And that prices include all fees up front, making the whole process stress-free. So take the guesswork out of buying college football tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, that's code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Once again, thanks for making Locked On Sooners your first listen every single day. Shout out to all the everydayers out there tuning in and subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcasts. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Jay, let's go with best individual performance on the season.
Best individual performance would have to go to Taylor Wein. Coming in there, taking over, especially when for the month of November, the way that he was basically one of your bigger leaders after R. Mason Thomas went down, finishing up with 22 tackles, 7 sacks, and he got an interception this season as well, right? He got that interception. What was that, against South Carolina? They thought they were going to trick him, and he was like, I know what you're doing. I know what you're doing. As soon as he threw it, it's right there. Boom, intercept, just snatched it down. He did a lot of everything. Forced the fumble against Alabama to help close the game out, which led to the game leading to the field goal that ended up winning the game because you took the lead. And all around, yeah, he was that dude. He is, to me, that the best player. Probably the breakout performance of the season to me.
When I was thinking about this, I was kind of thinking of, guys that had a huge impact that you don't always kind of think about. And Tate Sandell, I know things didn't season well for him, but man, he was so monumental for this team. If he's not as good as he was, especially in the month of November, Oklahoma's not making the playoff. I mean, you could make a strong argument that he was your most important player, which is crazy considering it's a college kicker, right? But he was clutch against Tennessee, 4 for 4, 3 field goals of over 50 yards, including a pair of 55-yarders. He was clutch again against Alabama, in close games against Missouri and LSU. He was clutch, just nails, man. That's why it was such a bummer to see it end the way it did the 2025 season for him in particular. But when it mattered most to get you into the playoff during the month of November, and again, all season long, because he missed his first kick of the year and then didn't miss another kick during the regular season.
That's so wild that he just had that great of a season like that. Like, first ever Lou Groza Award winner for this team. Like I said, it didn't maybe end the way you wanted it to, but the fact that it actually happened the way it did, still beyond impressive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, he doesn't get those opportunities to kick in the college football playoff unless he's awesome during the regular season. So,
yeah, especially because he missed his first one too. And to me, that's where everybody was kind of like, so what's this kick game going to look like this year? Because we missed our first field goal, and then he started to become nails after that.
I said, here we go again. And Tate Sandell said, no, we don't.
Being 8 for 9 from starting off 8 for 8 on 50-yarders, crazy work.
Yeah, just nuts, man. Like, I'm sure somebody wanted to test him during the season. All right, so let's go with, you want to go offensive MVP first or defensive MVP first?
Let's go offensive. Go ahead and lead us with the offense. Who's your MVP?
For me, offensively, it's Isaiah Satania. You know, talk about guys that were incredibly impactful and you don't make the college football playoff without them. His ability to create big plays against Mizzou, again, that was like a 10-yard slant or, you know, a skinny post that he ran and then just dusted everybody in the Missouri defense for that big, long touchdown, or the LSU one. You mentioned the clutch play against Auburn. There were so many times that he made big plays. He was getting open against Ole Miss on that return route on 4th down. Just throw him the ball and who knows what happens. But he was your most consistent player, I think, throughout the year on the offensive side of the ball. To me, he's the offensive MVP.
Yeah, I echo that. That he would be the one that I was going to give it to as well, just because of the fact that, like you said, he was so consistent all season long. He was everything you were needing out of just on your offensive side of the ball, especially when you had quote unquote inconsistencies throughout the rest of the way. He was the guy that was the most consistent every single time. Mm-hmm. No worries, no concerns. He was always consistent. And to me, hard to put a value on that, right? Like he was just that dude. And so I 100% agree on Satania. That's who I would have given my offensive MVP to.
All right, defensive MVP. Who would you go with?
Defense was a lot tougher because I feel like you've got multiple options. Like the only thing that hurt on the offensive side of the ball is just the offense just wasn't as great as you wanted it to be. So it was really it made it a little bit easier for one person to truly pop and stand out. Satania was that dude. The offensive line, you could also point out a few guys there that probably was deserving as well, but Satania popped. You know, your run game was a little inconsistent, dealing with injuries. So of course Xavier Robinson and Torrey Blaylock could have been shuffled. Same thing with John. Like John wasn't amazing. You know, he was up and down, but he gave you some good stuff with his numbers. Defense, though, you really got options because there was so many people that popped that makes it tough. So if I was to narrow it down to who I felt like was the defensive MVP, the one that really, I guess you could say, set the tone, got to be Kip Lewis. Kip was everywhere. He was everywhere in tackles. He was everywhere when it comes to getting sacks. He was caught forcing fumbles, right? Like the only thing he didn't do this year was get interceptions and return them for touchdowns. Like you didn't get the Kip sixes this year, but him helping lead it to where you got it on, I think we had 3 defensive touchdowns this year. So yeah, you had the possibilities of them, but it was a lot of him causing problems that made defenses have to pay attention. I had to give it to Kip.
Yeah, that's a hard choice to argue with. The other guys I'm going to mention, just honorable mentions here, are Peyton Bowen, who had a great November. You know, had interceptions, he had big tackles, he had a blocked field goal. I think it was against Missouri that he had the blocked field goal. Just play after play after play. He got the interception after John Mateer's interception against LSU, and then he had the pass breakup on the last play of the game against LSU. Just like he bookended the LSU game with big time defensive plays. Huge performances from him. We already talked about Taylor Wein and his impact for this team. R. Mason Thomas, coming out in the second half against Auburn was just awesome. And again, he's one of your best players. I think Grayson Halton deserves some acknowledgement here. He was so good throughout the 2025 season, just consistently good, consistently wreaking havoc on offensive lines and getting into the backfield. But man, you're right. There's so many guys that deserve mentioning. And this is where I want to bring this. And I think we'd probably be in agreement here with a best position group award. It goes to the defensive line, right?
It's between them and the linebacker, but you're probably going to give it to the defensive line because of
I'm
how
going to give
good
it
the
to the
defensive line
line.
was. Right.
Yeah.
Like I can argue for the linebacker room just because of how they were flying around and causing problems, how they were like, because to me, if I'm going to do the linebackers, I'm including the cheetahs. Because I kind of feel like they kind of count in there, even though they're kind of DBs, but they're not DBs. It's very interesting and weird the way Brent Venables profiles them, because if you read, I mean, we were talking about this, in the green room, and I kind of shared with you a writer with Throw Deep Publishing, and he wrote about Brent Venables' defense. And the one thing about the cheetah is they're a hybrid of linebacker and safety or DB. But they're usually the size of a DB, but they hit like a linebacker. So it's kind of hard to pick one. But I'm going to put the cheetahs with them. That will be the argument I can make for linebackers, because KD5 as well as Reggie Powers III really set tones on plays to where teams were trying to figure out where the hell they were on the field before they actually did something, right?
Yeah.
So they were built perfectly for the way this defense, and then Kobe McKenzie was very good. Owen Heineke came out of nowhere and emerged. Kip Lewis was causing problems. You had so many different things. Samuel Masigo showed up. That is, to me, where things get, I guess you could say, tough, but I can make the argument, but I agree with you. I do believe that you would have to give it to the defensive line just because they were the most terrorizing one in the country. Like when Kel Kublik said that they're the best defensive line in the SEC and it's not even close, people laughed at him. I went to their live show that the Oklahoma Breakdown did, and Cole was there. And they asked him about that, and he was like, the film, man, just go watch the film. Go watch the players, who they have there. That told me that before the season started, and boom, they literally made him look great because he was basically Nostradamus when he did it.
Yeah. The defensive line accounted for at least 30 sacks. I'm going through it and I'm kind of counting it up right now, but they had at least 30 sacks. Like,
yep,
that's how good they were all year long. I mean, you had Taylor Wein, R. Mason Thomas, David Stone, Grayson Halton, Dominic Williams, Jaden Jackson, Marvin Jones Jr. had, I think, a year that's going to get him drafted and have people thinking of him much more highly than what he was thought of when he came to Oklahoma. Just so many guys, Danny Okoye, PJ Adebaware, like so many guys played really important roles for this team. And the defensive line was the shield for this one. It was the group that was out front as the Army was marching on. They were the tip of the spear. That's the analogy there.
There you go. Tip of the spear.
They own
31 and a half sacks.
Good Lord. It's crazy, man, just how good they were throughout. And again, you had R. Mason Thomas out for the first half of the Auburn game. He was gone for the month of November, except for one half of one quarter against Tennessee. And they still were able to produce. That just goes to show how good they were all season long. So real quickly, your best coach for 2025.
Position group coaching, really tough, but truth be told, I probably would give it to, I'm going to give it to Brandon Hall.
Okay.
That safety room was balling. They were everywhere. They were everywhere. Peyton Bowen emerged as the 5-star we were hoping for. Robert Spears Jennings was great last season, and he kind of continued with a lot of that ability this season. Michael Boganowski showed up and showed out. Jaden Hardy had his moments, but Peyton Bowen was that dude. And so I got to say, safety room, cheers. Give me Brandon Hall.
All right. Biggest surprise of the year.
Biggest surprise, man. Like, I know some people would think, oh, it's probably going to be John Mateer the way he played. I kind of expected that. First year in the SEC was going to be some growing pains. History has shown us this is consistent with the way history works. Year one in the SEC, quarterbacks typically kind of take a slight step back from what they did the year before. This was a slight step back for John. He went 2,800 yards this year. He had 2,900 the year before. So you did see him step back, but he played okay. Biggest surprise, though? Oh, man. That Michael Fasusi took that job so fast. I didn't think that he was going to end up starting by game 2 of the season. I mean, granted, injuries did happen, but he was really good too when he did play. And so, gotta say, Fasusi, not surprised that he was going to be good, surprised that he ended up taking the starting job so early.
Yeah, I think that's the surprise. Not that he can play, not that he can hang at this level. It's that he did it as a true freshman and he looked really good while doing it. You know, so many times true freshmen are forced into action. That wasn't necessarily the case with Michael Fasusi. I'm going to kind of try to keep it positive here on my biggest surprise, Jay, because I want to say Jay not, because Oklahoma didn't get a single thing from him all year long. And we spent 4 months talking about what a great addition that was. Huge surprise that they weren't able to figure it out with him, or that he wasn't able to figure it out for this team. But I'm going to go with this, the cornerback room, because we started talking about it this time last year about how they might need to go into the transfer portal and look for a veteran cornerback to go with this young group that had Eli Bowen and a nice crop of players coming in in the 2025 recruiting class. But you didn't really have a lot of proven production because Gentry Williams, you were hoping to rely on him, but you just didn't know if you were going to be able to. That they didn't go into the transfer portal at all. And they said, no, we're good. We like our guys. And they meant it and they believed it. And the guys rewarded them for it. And they looked like a great cornerback group. So shout out to Jay Valai and to Brent Venables and Jim Nagy and the whole defensive staff for realizing what they had and being willing to live or die with what they had. Like, there's something to be said for that in the transfer portal era, is trusting your evaluations and living with it on the field and seeing, hey, we believe in these guys and we're going to let our season ride with these guys. Like, that's huge. And I mean, talk about setting a tone, man. That just has your cornerback room solidified for 26, 27, and who knows how long down the road. Just awesome.
Exactly.
All right, and that's going to do it for this year's edition of Postseason Awards here on Locked On Sooners. Let us know, who was your offensive MVP, your defensive MVP, your favorite play of the year, your game of the year, wherever you follow us on social media or in the YouTube comments at Locked On Sooners. Again, we're free and available on all podcast platforms and on YouTube. So hit the subscribe button, hit the notification button, let you know when new episodes drop. Follow Jay at Unfair Sports and go check out his channel, Unfair Sports, over on YouTube. You can follow me at John9Williams and read my work covering the Sooners over at SoonersWire.com. The show is at Locked On Sooners on all of your favorite social media platforms. But until next time, he's Jay Smith. I'm John Williams. We'll talk to you then. Boomer
Sooner. And Merry Christmas to all and all a good night.
all a good night.